We're here today with Dr. Eve to talk about the Little Thinker Center. Hello, Dr. Eve.
Hi, Katya.
So what is the Little Thinker Center?
The Little Thinker Center is where we help children develop critical and creative thinking skills. And we do this by giving them specific experiential activities that are fun, yet challenging enough to build the divergent thinking skills needed to understand the whys behind problems. So for example, to understand math, it doesn't matter that you know 2 times 2 equals 4. What matters is that you understand why 2 times 2 equals 4. And that requires concept learning, not content learning. And being able to grasp this type of thinking opens the door to a whole new world of possibilities. When children gain these tools, they're able to tackle challenges academically, socially, and even emotionally.
And how was the idea born?
Well, that's a great question. Having treated children with anxiety disorders for the past 2 decades, what was apparent was that many of the triggers came from academic or social challenges. And what was disturbing to see was that many of these children didn't believe in themselves to have the ability to overcome obstacles. They didn't have the thinking skills needed to efficiently solve questions from schoolwork, conflicts with peers, or even simple everyday problems. They lacked the I can attitude needed for self-confidence. So when I was pregnant in 2016 with twins, what I knew was that I wanted to have a place where my boys could gain the critical and creative thinking skills. And unfortunately, there aren't too many quality options in Southern California. So with my experience in child development and especially from my training from Dr. Harry Wax, the Little Thinker Center was born.
And what kind of challenges or disorders do you address in the Little Thinker Center?
Well, any child with challenges academically, socially, in critical thinking or problem solving, or physical motor skills, or even a child struggling with academic stress, anxiety, self-confidence can benefit from the Little Thinker Center. And our program will also help children with specific learning challenges, such as reading, math, visual spatial awareness, executive functioning, working memory, and nonverbal learning disorders.
And what if the child doesn't have any diagnosis but he struggles at school? Can you still help?
Of course. The reality is that many children struggle academically, socially, or in sports these days. Whether it's due to perfectionism, stress, or a learning challenge, the most important factor to any successful endeavor is to believe in yourself to tackle challenges and obstacles in life. And not having that belief in yourself can be mentally and emotionally taxing and create unnecessary stress. And stress directly interferes with the learning process. So what results is a vicious cycle that adds to low self-confidence. Again, what determines success isn't just about a child's ability. It's about that child's belief in him or herself to overcome a challenge that's presented. At the Little Thinker Center, we help children acquire the thinking skills that result in higher self-confidence, that believe in themselves, and lower stress.
So you mentioned you use specific experiential activities with the kids. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Well, they're thinking games that were created by Dr. Harry Wax in the spirit of children's play for its own sake, because play requires thinking. And as Jean Piaget once said, play is the work of childhood. All of our thinking games are categorized according to different areas of development. And the positive results include enhanced problem-solving capabilities, stronger academic performance and curiosity, improved social interactions, and most importantly, authentic self-confidence, and resiliency. All of this fosters an I can attitude that's needed for self-esteem and that believe in yourself to achieve what you set your mind to.
So each thinking game addresses a specific area of the development. Can we start with the general and discriminative movement? Can you tell us more?
Of course. Well, general movement thinking games help children master the body awareness and control needed for efficient movement, such as skipping, jumping rope, climbing hills, or any sports-related activities. While discriminative movement thinking games help build the fine motor skills needed for drawing, tying shoelaces, putting little Lego pieces together, or even using kitchen cutlery or woodworking tools.
Next, can you tell us a little more about the visual thinking games?
Well, visual thinking games are by far my favorites, and they help children interpret what they see and manipulate that interpretation visual spatially. The visual games that we have utilize objects such as parquetry blocks, Cuisenaire rods, pegs, or inch cubes to form specific 2- or 3-dimensional designs for children to replicate, mentally manipulate, and reproduce from various different perspectives. Visual thinking skills are necessary in most of life's competencies. For example, reading a map, driving, drawing a representation, catching a ball or hitting it with a bat, and following instructions to build an object. For anyone who's tried to build an IKEA object, an IKEA furniture, knows the importance of visual thinking. So as you can imagine, children with visual spatial challenges will have difficulties with math and science in school.
And now let's talk about the hand thinking games. What do they address?
Well, children learn through their sensory inputs. That's why very young children want to touch and mouth everything, because that's how they learn about their world, through touch. Developing hand thinking skills help to differentiate the various tactile experiences, such as texture and shape. Having this tactile awareness and perception adds to overall thinking abilities. For example, pottery, putting little puzzle pieces together, or finding and turning on the light switch in a dark room all requires hand thinking skills.
And why are the auditory thinking games important?
Well, to learn any language, you must have an ear for the specific sounds unique to that language. When toddlers learn to speak, they must first be able to interpret and discriminate the sounds they hear before they can utilize and sequence the various sounds in a meaningful way. For example, a child who's learning to speak may have a hard time differentiating between the two words solution and seclusion. This is no different than when you hear a foreign language and what you hear sounds like Charlie Brown speaking, because you're not able to differentiate between the various sounds unique to that language. Our auditory thinking games improve such auditory processing challenges that often interfere with reading and spelling.
And what do the graphic thinking games involve?
Graphic thinking games include coloring, cutting, writing, drawing, or any activities that involve your arm, hand, finger, and visual processes. These activities integrate movement and visual thinking and helps children with difficulties coloring within boundaries, cutting on the lines, or writing smoothly and legibly.
Next, let's talk about the logical thinking games, my favorites.
Yes, well, the ability to think logically is the foundation for all critical thinking skills and facilitates higher level reasoning. Our logical thinking games give children the opportunities for trial and error exploration to fully comprehend why a solution may or may not work. This helps them build logical thinking skills that are needed in all areas of life, such as academic, social, and emotional skills.
And last but not least, the social thinking games. What do they address?
Well, interpreting receptive and expressive communication is an intricate task, even for many adults, and especially in this digital age where social interactions often occur indirectly. Our social thinking games help children minimize this challenge by providing opportunities to understand others' perspectives, build empathy, expand social skills, and develop healthy self-expressions.
And are the thinking games and activities suitable for children of any age?
Our thinking games are most beneficial for children who are past their sensory motor stage of development, which typically occurs around age 2, give or take. Children in their sensory motor stage are still absorbing so much knowledge through their senses and their interactions with their environment that it's best to continue giving them those opportunities to keep exploring. Keep in mind that our program doesn't focus on chronological age and instead tailors the thinking games to each child's developmental level and readiness.
And now can you tell us how long sessions are, how often the child needs to come to therapy, how is the assessment process like, and most importantly, how can someone schedule an appointment?
Wow, that's a lot of questions. Well, sessions are 45 minutes long and prescribed at least once weekly in the beginning. Of course, children requiring a more intense regimen may come several times a week, and as their thinking skills strengthen and the child is able to engage in activities with more ease, sessions are then spaced out and eventually terminated. Before sessions begin, an initial 30-minute phone consultation is scheduled to determine the appropriateness of our program, following which a 2-hour evaluation is conducted to assess the child's developmental level and identify specific challenges and learning gaps. And this evaluation guides the individually tailored program for that child. So to get started with the initial phone consult, just call or email us and our clinical coordinator will walk you through that process.
And how soon should the parents expect any progress?
Well, like most skills in life, progress is individually based and depends largely on the developmental maturity level a child presents with. We do offer a follow-up evaluation every 3 to 6 months to determine each child's progress and update the program as needed.
Thank you, Dr. Yi.
Thank you, Katya.